Hey guys, what's up? It's Janie, and today I'm going to be rating the games that I played in 2023 along with some special guests. Some of my friends have agreed to be a part of this video. I'm pretty stoked. I'm going to have my first couple of guests. 2023 was a very, very big year for the video game industry. Having played new releases last year and new to me games, I can say that I have expanded my horizons further than just Animal Crossing, Fortnite, what else? And Sims. I, along with some special guests, will be rating these games with 4 categories, giving it a score out of 5. Eye-catching visuals for characters, environments, and even loading screens are the first impression that us players get of the game. But it's how these animations work cohesively with the mechanics of a game that makes this factor even more critical. Category 1 is designed for visuals and mechanics. Your character's involvement in the development of a story in a video game gives you a sense of purpose. Immersive storytelling is what makes a video game unique, making Category 2 campaign and story. Does the amount of work that you put into earning a coin a fair value for the things that you purchase? Category 3 is value for money. Although there is a time counter that tells you the physical amount of time you spent IRL playing a video game, what matters is the quality of time that you spent. Category 4 is enjoyment/lore. With 4 categories and a score to give out of 5, the total amount max that each game can get rated is 20. Starting off with what I think was the most anticipated game of the year was Starfield. Starfield is an ARPG game that is developed by Bethesda Game Studios. With the successes of the releases of Elder Scrolls and Fallout, this was a highly anticipated and desired game. After about 8 years of being in development, Starfield was released on September 5th, 2023. The current reviews on Steam for Starfield are mostly negative, so it kind of made me feel validated that it was not that good of a game. I feel like I don't have a fair judgment though, which leads me to welcoming our first guest, my friend Dalton. He has actually played the whole entire Starfield game. When he told me this while we were playing Fortnite one night, I was like, bro. So I asked him if he could be a part of this video. Everyone, please welcome Dalton.
So starting with design and the mechanics, and you have to take into consideration I do have like a Bethesda bias. Like Fallout are some of my favorite video games. So I expected the mechanics to be the way that they were. So I'd give it a 4. I really enjoyed the line of like almost like the simplicity of the game. They still respected that it was like a space based. So like I feel like the graphics were where they should be. Some things were a little buggy, but I feel like Bethesda fixed that pretty quick. Yeah, I would give design and mechanics a 4. The storyline, I was actually surprised at how good it was. Just because, like, I mean, I've had fun with, like, Fallout 4. New Vegas had a great storyline. As far as, like, Vault 76 and some of the other stuff that they had more recently, I wasn't a huge fan of. That being said, this storyline I think was great. I would honestly give that one a 4 as well. I really enjoyed the storyline. I enjoyed where they went with it. I thought it was a little unpredictable at the beginning how they were going to make things work, and then as you progress through the game it starts to make sense. I don't remember how far you got into the game, but you know, the ending was awesome. I love the ending. It took me like 70 hours to beat the storyline, and that's with not doing a whole lot of side quests.
Jesus.
Yeah, I did like travel around and like, and that's the fun thing about the game too. Including the storyline, is you can go to planets and you can run into missions and side quests and stuff like that can really like occupy your time, and makes the looting more fun. If I'm being critical, maybe a 3.5, but I really enjoyed the game. With my Bethesda bias, I'm going 4, because hearing about the game to begin with, people saying like it was going to be too complicated. There was just like a lot of doubts about the game. And I was immediately hooked when I started, and then the 70 hours like honestly felt like nothing. And I really like a game that you can get deep into.
Category 3 is going to be the value of money. So do you think the amount of work that you put in was worth the purchases you're able to make?
No. I spent most of my games trying to like free up space on my ship so I could carry more weapons to sell. The vendor, like from what I remember, I don't think there was a whole lot of perks to like get you more credits for selling items. Fallout, normally you can do like vendor type stuff, upgrades. I could have missed that. But as far as like the work that I put in, I felt myself having to take advantage of being a thief and stuff to make my credits go somewhere. I feel like a lot of the missions that I did were a little underpaid. You know, talking about like a game like GTA where you do like a heist and you get a good amount of money to last you and you can buy a new car and this, I felt like I really had to save up for ships, and then I also had to limit the weapons that I would use because I could only afford a certain amount of ammo. It was an issue for me. Maybe I played it wrong. Maybe I didn't put enough credits into something or enough points into a certain like looting category you could do. But for my personal opinion, I would give it 2.5.
2.5 out of 5.
Definitely a 2.5. I just don't like having to spend so much time looting to sell stuff. Like my inventory is just full of stuff that I could sell. I would have appreciated like better payouts on missions, especially on side quests and stuff like that.
I didn't know that was like just something that you would really have to work towards. I'm sure it like brought the value of when you purchase something, like, wow, I worked hard for it and I earned it, but also it can get taxing on like, was it worth it?
Yeah, well, and you know, I'm playing with the same guns through the whole game just because it's a Bethesda game. The Fallout games are kind of like that as well. You know, you do get missions with that pay you a lot of caps, but you're kind of spending a lot of time looting and then selling that loot, selling armor, selling weapons, etc., which is a fun aspect. But when it's the main way that I'm getting money, I just wasn't really a huge fan of that. I would have rather have gotten better payouts on missions and stuff like that. That way I could have focused more time on the other parts of the game, because it was such an in-depth game. I mean, I haven't even done my second playthrough and there's so many things that I missed. I didn't know that you could like build your own spaceship, get custom parts and stuff like that. So, you know, I felt like I focused a lot of my time on trying to get money to buy ammo and guns, that I kind of just wasn't focused on that part of the game.
Hopefully your second playthrough, you'll explore a little bit more in depth.
And that's why I gave the storyline a 4, because the second playthrough is a part of the storyline. It makes you want to play through it again.
Category 4 is going to be your overall enjoyment.
With everything being said, even with criticisms, I'm giving it a 4.5. I don't want to say 5 just because there are some things that they could have done better, mainly the credit part. I think it would be a 5 if they had fixed some of that stuff. I'm going 4.5. It was a good game.
Is 15 out of 20.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I would give it. It was a really good game, but not one of my like best games ever. Like if we were talking Last of Us or Red Dead Redemption or something like that, those would be like 18s and 20s, you know. Right. So I feel like Starfield, putting it at a 15 is a pretty good.
Of course, you know, when they first launch out video games, there's always going to have their kinks and their little humps that they have to get through and fix. I'm assuming Starfield is going to be patching updates, or they do a lot. You know, there was some hacks that you could do at the beginning of the game. Bethesda's always like that. I mean, there's mods you can do on PC, but there are just like glitches and hacks that you could take advantage of in the game. When I started playing through recently the other day, just to see what my account was looking like, they had fixed most of that stuff. Wow.
So I'm assuming on my second playthrough it'll be a different experience.
Well, good luck with your second playthrough. I admire your hard work and the time that you put in to complete Starfield, because I really tried an hour and it took some time. Well, thank you, Dalton. I really appreciate you coming and giving your opinion on it and your vote.
Yeah, of course.
The next game that I'm personally going to be rating is Super Mario Wonder. 2023 was really the year for Nintendo, with the huge success of the release of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, the opening of the Mario Land at Universal Studios here in LA, and Mario Wonder. Super Mario Wonder is the first side-scrolling game since the release of Super Mario Bros. U. My history with playing Super Mario games actually goes pretty far. I used to play Super Mario 64. I used to play Super Mario Sunshine. That's actually my favorite Mario Mario game ever released. I have it on my Switch. Love it. I played Super Mario Galaxy, Paper Mario on GameCube. That was really fun. So I was really excited about the release of Super Mario Wonder. When Nintendo released the trailer for Mario Wonder, I was just in awe about the detail to the animation, the art style. The side-scrolling style is so nostalgic and such a classic. And honestly, I think the last side-scrolling game that I played was Yoshi Island on DS. So it just really reminded me of that. Along with beautiful landscapes and classic animation, I found myself really loving the audio and music that they did for this game. One of the beginning stages and levels that you play is called the Piranha Parade. I think, is it called? Yeah, Piranha Plants on Parade. I have my notes right here. I immediately fell in love with just the tunes, the melody, the harmonies, everything about it. And if you know me, I'm like such a sucker for, like, I DJ, I love music, I work in audio and post-production. So whenever I hear something that good, I just can't help but appreciate it so much. There's also these wonder flowers that you can collect during each level, and it just turns the whole entire environment on steroids. It's really pretty. A new power that was introduced is the ability to turn into an elephant with Mario, and his character looks really cute. I will have to say though, I wasn't the biggest fan about how navigating the whole character was. Although you do have to change into that character in order to complete some levels, any chance that I would get to not be an elephant, I took that. This leaves me to leave a rating for design category 1 with a score of 4 out of 5. Mario Wonder's story is a classic tale about how Mario tries to defeat Bowser. Bowser's whole angle is taking over the Flower Kingdom after taking one of these wonder flowers, and you and your buddies are just supposed to go and defeat him and help the prince kind of reestablish order in his land. It's a classic, and it gives Mario games that signature, so I give the story a 5 out of 5. The main currency that you have to collect in Mario Wonder are these purple coins, and I will say that I did appreciate how easy it was to collect them as you went through levels, and not only that, I didn't feel pressured to collect every single coin. I found it relieving that I could go walk up to Poplin's shop and be able to purchase badges, 1-ups, and other necessary things I needed to progress through the game without breaking my bank and working that hard. For that, I'm giving category 3 a 5 out of 5. This leaves us with category 4, the enjoyment and the lure that I had to play it. I purchased Mario Wonder on the day that it released, and I did play it for a couple of hours. When it came to coming back to it, I didn't feel that pull that some games do give me. You are capable of playing with up to 4 players on Mario Wonder, so that is one thing that I actually really did appreciate, because when my boyfriend was playing with me, I seemed to have a lot more fun playing it. It is a little challenging because you guys do have to stick next to each other. Otherwise, if one of you guys is way ahead of the other person, they're going to end up being dragged from the other end of the screen and could potentially fall to their death, and it's happened several times to me. Although having him play with me did make it more fun, I still, again, didn't get that need and itch to play it. So with that, category 4 is going to be getting a score of 3. After tallying up all of our scores, the total for Mario Wonder out of 20 is a solid 17.
Thank you for joining me, Sai.
No problem. Happy to. I give it a 5 because I thought it was very beautiful and it was really fun to play as far as like the look of it. Like I couldn't stop looking at the animation. Campaign and story was probably a 3 just because I thought it was a little bit easy. It was fun, but I just thought it was a little bit too easy. I got through it in really short amount of time. I think it was less than a week actually, because I got it on Sunday and I beat it that next Friday or Saturday.
Getting your coins was a fair value for how much things were to purchase?
Yeah, I actually didn't pay much attention to like what I got out of it. I didn't purchase a ton. I just kind of played through and collected the coins as I could. If I needed to get something, I did, but I didn't really purposefully check to see if it was worth it. I'd still say a 3 probably, because I didn't really notice. My overall enjoyment was definitely like a 4. Like I had a good time, even though it was a pretty simple game. I had a pretty good time playing it.
That means your score is 15 out of 20.
You said that like such a game show host. 15 out of 20.
The next game that I'm going to be talking about is Hogwarts Legacy. I'm not going to be able to memorize this, so let me read my notes super quick. Hogwarts Legacy is an ARPG developed by Avalanche Software and published by Warner Brothers under its Portkey Games label. Yes, that one was a tongue twister. The game takes place in a realm that we all know and love, the wizarding world of Harry Potter. The game released on February 10th, 2023 and really kickstarted the whole year in video games. My first impression of the game was that it was okay. I wasn't the biggest fan of the animation. I found it to be pretty clunky and not as seamless as I was hoping. The way that your character walks and runs looks really unnatural and is quite distracting when it comes to just even first playing and walking around. This also bleeds out into how I feel about the cutscenes. They weren't my favorite. The style of it looks like it's very dated and it's not up to where video games are nowadays. One thing that really irked me was that you can't really customize your character. Don't get me wrong, there are peripherals that you can change, but there are other physical features that you can't manipulate, such as your height, muscle definition, things like that, but also really important when it comes to making your character personable. I will say I was pleasantly surprised by the fluid movements when it came to dueling, battling, and casting spells. Additionally, I also appreciated the open world concept. Hogwarts looked beautiful. I really love that. In terms of the elements that they thought of to put in this game was very solid. I'm not sure if the execution was great, but all things considered, I will say that the mechanics and the animation gets a 2 out of 5. There are 4 categories and quests for Hogwarts: main quests, assignments, relationship quests, and side quests. This game is pretty big. The main quests alone total to about a 26.5 hours gameplay. And if you were to complete the adventure, side quests, and relationship quests, you're looking at about 68 hours. My personal favorite type of quests were the relationship quests. These type of quests really encouraged me to talk to more NPCs and explore the map. The main quests were actually pretty challenging. Like, I like a good challenge, and they were challenging. I had my fair share of deaths in the game. I'm giving category 2 a 5 out of 5. When you're out exploring, it's pretty easy to find coins inside of a sack. With these, you can purchase gear, brooms, and potions. I didn't find the currency to be particularly hard or particularly easy either, so I'm pretty neutral. Category 3 is getting a 4 out of 5. My overall enjoyment for Hogwarts Legacy was pretty good. I found myself enjoying it every time I would come back to play it. Although the challenges really immersed you into the wizarding world, I still found the animation pretty distracting. So for that, category 4 is getting a 4 out of 5. This leaves me to leave Hogwarts Legacy with 15 out of 20. The next game that I'm going to be talking about is probably the one that I was most excited about, and that is FaeFarm. Phoenix Labs released a role-playing game with elements of simulation and farming. This game was published on September 8th, 2023, and this game was the first big, major, highly anticipated cozy game that was going to be releasing on Nintendo since Animal Crossing in 2020. I, along with so many other cozy gamers, were really excited about the release of this game, and it really disheartens me to say that I tried so hard to like it, and I didn't. The artwork and the cutscenes were stunning, but I found the mechanics to be god awful. Especially when it came to dungeons, I would be trying to do a combo of moves to defeat the enemies that are in there, and it either lagged or just didn't register at all, and I would get hurt, and it was just becoming very frustrating. I got FaeFarm about a week after it released, and I started Googling if people were having the same troubles as me because I was getting that irritated. Unfortunately, it was too soon and no one was posting about it, so I couldn't find any information about it. The style of animation is something I could definitely get behind, but it's just so clunky, and for that, I'm giving category 1 a 3 out of 5. The storyline is okay. Most of the campaign requires you to talk to NPCs and go into dungeons. Due to my frustrations when it came to trying to go into combat, I found myself relying on the invisibility potion, I don't want to say it was cheating, because the invisibility potion is something that they sell. When you drink it, enemies don't sense you and they don't see you, so they don't attack you. Thus, you don't have to go into combat, and all you have to really worry about is mining and progressing through the levels. I didn't want to do that, but I had to do it. Another thing that I found disappointing was the lack of depth in the NPC characters. When you would go up to talk to them, it would be very repetitive. They didn't have any VO, but they did have some type of effort, so they'd be like, and they did this really obnoxious giggle. And I often would play with the sound off because I wasn't a fan. I'm giving category 2 a 3 out of 5. I just realized I didn't say one positive thing about that. I'm giving category 2 a 2 out of 5. Let's talk currency in FaeFarm. I personally found it very hard to make money, and with the amount of invisibility potions that I was buying, it wasn't substantial. What I personally would do to make money was I would go and take my invisibility potion, I would go walk over to the mine. While I'm completing the story, I have to mine anyways, so I would take those things that I mined and then I would craft like a jewel out of it, and I could get substantial money that way. Other than that, I haven't found a good sustainable way to make income. Those jewels are worth significantly more than the vegetables and the fruits that you can grow on your farm. So with that considered, I'm going to be giving category 3 a 3 out of 5. I feel like I have a love-hate relationship with this game. I've tried really, really hard to just enjoy it. I felt myself more so forcing myself to play it. I feel so bad saying that because I know people worked really hard and Phoenix Labs worked really hard to put out this game, but I just didn't like it that much. Overall enjoyment is getting a 3 out of 5. My overall rating for FaeFarm is sadly 11 out of 20. The next game that we're going to be talking about that was released in 2023 is Diablo. I have a very, very special guest for this one, my boyfriend, Kermanj. You guys, go ahead and give him a warm welcome. All right, so I have my boyfriend here with me to talk about Diablo because he is an avid player. He's cracked at it. He knows how to do everything in it. I tried playing it, and it didn't last very long. Got as far as making my barbarian. Druid. I only have one opinion about this game, and that the animation is so good. I remember right off the rip asking if this was like acted out with real people or not, and Kermanj was like, no, this is animation.
Blizzard spares no expense when it comes to cutscenes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm cracked, but I have been playing it for the last year, so I'm pretty knowledgeable with the game. Alright, so category 1 is animation and mechanics. So with Diablo 4, it's a lot of like different characters, different moves, different abilities, different spells. I think it's done very well because each character feels different, and that in itself is perfect. Animation, obviously it's a Blizzard game. They're always going to do really well with their animation, so I'm going to give that category 5 out of 5. Next category, story campaign. So me in particular, and this is just in my opinion, I'm not a big fan of like campaigny games. I think the story behind it was really done well, but I was a little bit late to the game. I played it maybe like 2 to 3 weeks after it came out, so the people I was playing with were already past the level of when you can get into the next world tier. I was kind of stuck doing it by myself, and it kind of got boring at times, but that's just for me. If I'm like talking about it in a sense of the general community of Diablo, I'm gonna say probably like a 4 out of 5, just because people really enjoyed the game, really enjoyed the story and the campaign of it. Me in particular, I'll probably give it like a 3 out of 5. All right, so next category is the currency of the game. In the first season, or we'll call it season 0, because when the game first came out, it was just like you did the story campaign, you got to level 100, and that was it. There was nothing really else to it. I think gold earning in season 0 was pretty horrid. You spent your gold on re-rolling gear, which made you a stronger player. It was not hard to make gold, but when you would go re-roll your gear, your gold would just vanish. Like you can go in there with 80 million and you're there for like 5 minutes and it's gone. So in season 0, I'm gonna give it like a 2 out of 5. Season 1, I'll give it like a 3 out of 5. But Season 2, this last season that we're currently in, they did very, very well. They listened to the community. They said, okay, we're going to let you guys first go get to 100 faster. Awesome. The gold we made in each dungeon, like, was unbelievable, like, how much gold we were making. Like, on our way to level 100, we were just flying through it, making so much gold. Again, spending it at re-rolling gear was still pretty bad just because of how hard it is, but I guess that's just the mechanic of the game. They don't want you, obviously, to just be able to be the strongest player right off the bat. You have to work for it a little bit. So I'll give that category, if we're doing Season 0, 1, and 2, I'll give it a 3 out of 5, but in the latest season, I'll give it a 5 out of 5. Diablo can get very boring very quickly. So you get to 100, and there's not much really to do after that. On your way to level 100, you're probably going to find really good gear. You're going to get to where you want to be at. And then once you get to 100 and you have all your rolled gear to be perfect, you kind of beat the game already in a sense. So I think like longevity of enjoying the game, it's not there for me just because there's not much to do in the game. But like in that first, let's say, like 1 month or 2 months of the newest season coming out, we'll go off of Season 2. I love the game. I was playing it every day, come home from work, literally grinding for hours on end, trying to be the best, the strongest, get everything perfect. In the short term, it's a great game. Love it. The long term, it could do better. Taking that all into account, I'm going to give the game a 4 out of 5 just because it's there, but it's not there yet. I think they're in the right direction. In Season 2, they listened to us. They added more bosses, more stuff to do, more ways to get the best gear. They're working towards that goal of keeping the player base playing the game. Taking all the categories into account, you're talking about campaign, currency, story, animation, all that good stuff, overall enjoyment. I'm going to give it a 14 out of 20. But I think they're in the right direction to get to that 20 out of 20. It's just going to take a little bit of time. We have an expansion planned out. I think the game's going to be like an S tier game soon.
Next, we're going to be going into some honorable mentions of the games that weren't released last year, but were new to me and I loved, absolutely adored. Our first honorable mention is Stardew Valley. I didn't know about this game until one day at work. I was talking with one of our actors about cozy games, and she was like, you would probably really like Stardew Valley. The community behind Stardew Valley is all on the same level, high vibrations, the simplicity of it, the complexity of it, the hidden messages, the stories that the NPCs have. I think this is why I was really critical about the interactions that I had with the NPCs in FaeFarm. Stardew just really did it. I don't know how many hours I have played on it, but I clocked in. The second honorable mention is Pokemon Scarlet. Pokemon Scarlet was actually my very first Pokemon game that I had ever played, and I absolutely loved it. I remember when I first started playing it in the very beginning of the whole story. You wake up in your home, you're getting ready to go to your first day of school at the academy. You go to the academy and they tell you that it's like a field day or like a field trip day or something like that. So I walk out of the gates of the academy and I'm like, okay, where do I go? And I was so confused. I literally thought like the school was taking us on like a field trip for the day and I had to follow someone. I didn't realize how open of a world it really was. After that little hump, I found myself becoming a champion. I also defeated Arvin. I conquered Team Star. I beat the whole game, and I am really proud of that. My starting Pokemon is Quaxley, and now he's Quaxwell, and he is a sassy, fun Pokemon. He is my right-hand man. Love him. I heard that they're coming out with an expansion for it. If not, they probably already did. I haven't looked that much. Here, let's look it up right now. Oh, it's coming out January 11th this year, 2024. Oh, okay, I'm getting it. I am definitely getting it. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the hidden treasure of Area 0. Maybe I'll even post some videos of me playing it. Anyways, this concludes my video of me rating all the games that I played last year in 2023. Thank you so much to Kermanj, Sai, and Dalton for being a part of this video, giving me your input and your feedback. I was really intrigued to hear about how you guys liked the releases of last year. I'm looking forward to seeing what 2024 brings us with new games. Looks like we're starting off really good with this DLC. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please hit the subscribe button, give the video a like, leave a comment on what your favorite video game was last year. See you guys in the next video. Bye!